Good morning. This is the Salt Lake County Snowpack update for April 2025. Our water year has provided less precipitation than normal. And as a reminder, our water year begins on October 1st of the previous year. So this chart is looking at the precipitation received in the western United States since October 1st, 2024. And as you can see, the state of Utah, for the most part, has received significantly less than normal water. There are a few sections of the state that have been slightly above average, but overall the water year has been below average. Looking at our recent accumulations of water, it's mostly in the form of snow. So this chart is looking at the state of Utah, the major hydrologic basins, and it's showing snow water equivalent. And effectively, that's how much water exists in the snowpack. And for much of Utah, that is largely where our water resources reside. So you can see in the Provo, Utah Lake Jordan Basin, we're at 116% of normal as of March 24th. Now, if we zoom in on this a little bit and we subdivide these basins, in the Jordan Basin, the lower Jordan Basin, I should say, around Salt Lake City, we're only at 104% normal as of March 30th by the end of the day. So we had a slight warming trend that melted off some of that snow, and then where we saw significant accumulation after this graphic. So what we see this time of year is kind of an ebb and flow of that percent normal, and that is expected for this time of year. Now, when we look at the Jordan Basin in a graphical view, that black line represents the accumulation of snow water equivalent since the beginning of our water year. So 2025 right now is sitting just slightly above average, and that little green X right in the middle of the chart represents the normal peak date and the normal peak amount. So we're almost at a normal water year, just I guess trending maybe slightly below, but with the accumulation of snow, we will probably be very close to normal. Now, when we drill down and we look at individual stations, we're starting in the northeast end of Salt Lake County. So this is a snowtail site at Lewis Meadow and City Creek Canyon. You can see that 2025 accumulation of snow water equivalent went right through our normal peak date, went a little bit above normal, melted off, and now is accumulating again. So again, that ebb and flow of snow water equivalent this time of year is absolutely expected. But I do believe this lower elevation site at Lewis Meadow has peaked at this point, so we should see that to begin to melt off. Further up canyon at Lookout Peak, the 2025 accumulations are just about normal for this time of year. Moving further south into Parley's Canyon at Parley's Summit, this one again is ebbing and flowing, and we're just slightly below average, but again, pretty close to a normal water year. When we go further south, the Big Cottonwood at the Mill D Snowtail site, this one is slightly above average, but not significantly above. So we're not worried about anything, and we expect this one to be more or less a normal water year accumulation. Big Cottonwood at Brighton, same story. This one's just slightly below average. And the last individual site we'll look at is Little Cottonwood, snow water equivalent at Snowbird. This site still has probably a significant amount of time, at least a month before it peaks. So we'll keep watching this one. So what we have to look at next is what the forecast holds. Our 7-day precipitation forecast holds pretty wet conditions for much of Utah, specifically the Wasatch Front and Wasatch Back should see accumulations of rain and snow. We've seen the snow hit the valley floor as of the last 24 hours. And when we zoom out on that, we look at the precipitation forecast for the month of April, we're actually leaning slightly below normal. So there's a good chance this faucet that's been pouring all this wonderful precipitation on us is going to shut down at some point. When we look further out at April, May, June forecast, now we're looking at a bullseye leaning kind of strongly below normal. Temperature is a similar pattern to precipitation. When we look at long-term forecasts for the month of April, we are leaning slightly above normal for temperature, and our seasonal forecast is definitely leaning above normal for April, May, and June. As far as our storage capacity goes, most of our reservoirs along the Wasatch Front are largely full. Utah Lake is right there hovering at compromise, and as a result of that, we're going to see flows released from Utah Lake. I know they're doing the strawberry diversion release at this point. So we should see flows in the Jordan River above normal for this time of year. So we should see more water in the Jordan than we typically do in March, April, and May. Now, when you filter that across the drought that exists in Utah, we have either abnormally dry or moderate drought conditions. So most of Salt Lake County is in a moderate drought condition, whereas the eastern end or the canyon areas are just abnormally dry. But what that means is there can be effects on stream flows based on that. So the NRCS stream flow forecast for Salt Lake County hovers between 81 and 86% of normal. So that should actually result in a slightly diminished runoff event for this spring. I'd like to thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can call us at 385-468-6600 or visit our Runoff Ready website. And I'd like to thank all of our data partners, the Central Utah Water Conservancy District, NOAA, NRCS, the U.S. Drought Monitor, Utah Division of Water Resources, and the Western Regional Climate Center. Thanks.